I want to show you how to upres video. So I'm going to go ahead and delete my upresed version so we can just do all of this from scratch here. So I have this original 4K video of Niagara Falls here. If I pause, you'll see that it's really, really crispy in the water over here. So lots of high-res details. It looks like it was shot on essentially a typical prosumer like camcorder or something like that. So it's not really ARRI Alexa footage by any stretch, but it does look beautiful and it's a pretty cool shot. So what I want to simulate with you today is whenever you get video footage from a generative video tool, like for example, Runway, it's going to give you that video in a lower res format. Now you can select the video to be higher res or lower res, but sometimes, you just need a bunch of like low res footage, for example. And you don't want to pay for all the credits of a super high res video example. Well, you can upres. So this image quality here is simulating the low res version of a video that would come from Runway. So you can see that it's just super pixelated, especially if I pause it and scale it up. You can see that there's just not a lot of detail here. So this water is crazy pixelated. The rock here is like, you can't really tell anything that's going on with this rock. It really just looks like a silhouette. And so generally it looks pretty bad. Like over here is out of focus, but honestly the out of focus part looks almost just as crispy as the foreground part here. So to fix that video, I'm going to go to Topaz Video AI, and it's created by the same people that make Gigapixel. And so I'm sure it's running a very similar algorithm. And, again, this is an AI tool. It's not just like upresing the footage and throwing in like a sharpen filter or something like that. It's literally using AI to bring in details. So I'm going to go ahead and drop in our low quality footage here. Again, the footage is only 768 pixels wide, so nowhere close to a 4K format. Like that's like 432. That's whenever you're on YouTube and it's like a really bad image format. It's going to be 432. Actually, it's 380, 320, something like that. But you get the idea. Really bad format, basically DV quality. So inside Topaz Video, there's a lot of really cool features in here. I'm going to talk about upresing, but one of the really awesome features is you can actually change the frame rate of video, which is pretty impressive. So this was shot in 30 frames per second, but if I wanted to slow down the footage and make it kind of like slow-mo video, I could change the format to like 60 frames per second and then like slow it down in like a video editing tool, which is super cool. So let's start things off with changing the image format here. So the input was 768. I want the output to be straight up 4K. And there are a bunch of other features here, but the main one I want to focus on here is the enhancement section. So there's different settings that you can adjust here. We'll keep things progressive. It was shot on a modern camera, so it should be progressive, meaning the entire frame was captured all at once rather than half of the frame in one line and the next one in another line, and we get all those like zebra stripes interlaced. That was a terrible time for video. In the AI model, you can change here. So all of these do different things, and from shot to shot, you can adjust them. The default Proteus model works very well. I like it. You can turn up noise as well if it like would help to sell the realism of your scene. I almost always roll with no noise whatsoever. And you can turn up the grain as well to add in kind of that film grain look. Again, I like having complete control over my grain. And so if I'm going to add in grain to a project, so I'll just add in my grain in post rather than baking it into the actual footage here. And you can change what encoder you're using to export. ProRes 422 high quality is a great format if you're wanting just like really, really good quality. But if you're just, throwing it on the internet and you just want to share it, just like the one shot or whatever, you can do H.264. That the higher quality is a good choice. So I'm just going to select H.264 because our original video is in an H.264 format. And the cool thing is inside of Topaz Video, if you hit the preview button here, you can actually compare and contrast what your overall image is going to look like once it runs through the algorithm here. So it takes just a second to generate a preview. So now we have a preview here. So let me go ahead. I'm going to zoom in 100% so we can see the difference. And it's nice inside of the video tool because like as you move around, it doesn't like change the compression and have to load. So it's a little different than Gigapixel when you're using it. So let's take a look at this water here. So you can see that over here, there's a lot of contrast. It looks really crisp. It even is getting like these small little water droplets that are coming off the edge here. I don't know how I got that. Like this is the input reference here. Like it's just a slight color variation in the sky. And over here, it's like, oh no, that's like a really crisp edge to this water. So how this works is just beyond me. This is really incredible. And then we can go to some of the other areas. Let's go to these rocks over here. So you can see that, it put in just the sharpness that really was not there with these rocks. It's understanding that it's like a granite, or I don't know. I'm not a geologist, but whatever rock format this is, it has the harsh edges with the light coming off. That looks natural. And then it has over here in the bottom corner, this rock it's wet, right? And so the water, the light that's glistening off of that wet rock has the wet quality to it. So really, really, it's done an incredible job. You can see like the specks over here are nice and crisp. It looks very much like water. And then if we go over here to the background, you can see that the trees, it's a little more sharp in the background, and yeah, looks good. Now, I think this does highlight something that is a little unnatural about using Topaz Video, in that sometimes things that are out of focus, if you have a low-res video format, it doesn't know if the background is out of focus or just pixelated. You know, like right here, like I was saying, this is the input image, and the background looks just as out of focus and pixelated as the foreground here. So it doesn't know, and so it went in and sharpened it. And so the same is true with this fog. You know, it's like really sharp, but with the actual input video, the fog was a little out of focus. So that is a problem with using these tools. If you wanted to, you could go in and fine-tune it further and, you know, just adjust the fidelity a little bit using the Thea preset. But honestly, I like the Proteus one. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to export this so we can compare and contrast it with our original video. Okay, so that render took about 5 minutes. So that was converting a low-res video into a high-res 4K format. It was about 20 seconds long, took about 5 minutes, just to give you some perspective there. So let's compare and contrast the two videos real quick. So again, for reference, this was the quality of the input video that I put into Topaz Video, hyper pixelated. All right. And then we have the original video here. You can see lots of crispy details. Looks very, very good. The edges are very crisp. The waters looks really nice, and the background is out of focus. In fact, there's a little bit of compression artifacting back here as well, mainly because it's in an H.264 format, but you get the idea. And then let's go ahead and take a look at our result from from Topaz Video AI. And we can see that we do have the specs in here. We have the gleaming edges on the rocks. There's contrast in the water here. Let me go ahead and play this back so we can see it in action. Great. I mean, it looks really, really good. There's nothing artifact-wise that would distract me or make me feel like this wasn't real video footage in any way. So looks really, really nice. And then let me go ahead and play. This is the original clip here. Now, obviously, because of the lens qualities with this being out of focus over here and just having more of the detail, especially in these foreground ripples, you know, like the water here just has some beautiful contrast. I would say that this original shot, just like the original image, is a better image. But the main point is, if you were to remove this footage entirely and replace it with the footage from Gigapixel, I don't believe that that anyone would be able to tell the difference.